Okay, so I like to read financial journals, and there's a fascinating series of papers on garbage, and this one just came out. The first one that came out that inspired it was called Asset Pricing with Garbage, and it was by this student, I think Dr. Savov at U Chicago. And what he did is that he came up with this idea that you can actually measure consumption through actual garbage, municipal waste numbers. And I thought this was interesting because quant traders are trying to get any indicators they can to forecast asset prices. And garbage isn't one thing that I've heard people look at. And if you think about the garbage as a tool to sort of think about consumption, it makes a lot of sense. Even digital goods have some amount of garbage associated with them, and certainly consumable goods certainly do. So a recent paper was even really insightful. It's called Asset Pricing Without Garbage, and you can read that by this Dr. Kroenke. And it's a really dense paper. And the reason I think you should read this stuff is again, there's this sort of perception that, I've read my textbooks, Martin. What good is there reading technical information? Well, read these papers, and you'll sort of see that they're far more. Education doesn't stop. That if you don't know a lot about the CCC capital model, that's the consumption capital model. It's a really interesting improvement on CAPM. And again, you'll learn a lot of techniques and tools that some of the cutting-edge academics are using to sort of think about the nature of assets and so forth. This is a far better use of time than watching CNBC or wasting time talking to brokers or reading Wall Street research or stuff like that. There's some sophisticated things out there that if you look for them, you can find them. Thank you, Patrick, has posted a link. And so in any event, there's actually really rigorous research out there that people like the firms at a Renaissance or Two Sigma would look at data like garbage data. And you might actually, if you want to take a step further, instead of just going to websites and getting garbage data, what if you actually were paying for that garbage data? I think that'd be really neat. That you'd maybe find some landfill company and say, I want you to send me your amounts, the tons of garbage, however many thousands or millions of tons of garbage that you deal with. I want you to send me that number exclusively. And I want it not on an annual basis, not on a quarterly basis. I want it on a daily basis, or a monthly basis, or a weekly basis, however fast you can give it to me. Measure all the trash you've got and give it to me on this recurring and frequent basis. I think that's sort of a really interesting data collection, and I'd never heard it before. So now I'm starting to process, put that into my system. I'm looking for garbage, literal data on garbage, and I named my cat Trashy for a reason, so this definitely stuck out to me. Some of you asked what to read, so the only media publication that I read on a consistent basis is the Wall Street Journal. I read the Wall Street Journal every day. I've read it every day since I was a little kid. The other thing I'd encourage you to read is actual scholastic information, so stuff that's published in a reputable journal has to meet some basic, level of QA and QC. People talk about fake news these days. Well, an academic published research has always been the finest research you can read, and there's a reason that journalists are being sort of maligned is because they're not academic researchers. And we call these journals, what we publish in these journals, articles. So why read BuzzFeed or something when you can actually read real research? And for any discipline you can think of, there's actual real research going on in it every day, and it's real news. So focus on the primary stuff. Don't read articles about, a study at Harvard said this. Read the actual study. And anyway, we'll talk more about that. Again, same thing here. Read company news, company filings with regulatory agents, things like trade news, like different newsletters that actual programmers write or whatever, and then technical manuals, like published textbooks, but again, they can be in very distinct fields. So you have a lot to learn out there, and you don't want to waste your time on things like CNN or Barron's or Forbes or CNBC. These are the bottom of the barrel. Occasionally something will be good in the Financial Times or Zero Hedge or The Economist. I sort of tore between putting it here or in the Never column. I kind of think it should be in the Never column. Very rarely New York Times has some good stuff, but they do. Great journalists there. They do let their sort of political bias filter in sometimes. And occasionally Bloomberg. They've wasted an enormous amount of money trying to build a media company, and they've actually do have some good writers there here and there. But generally, I would avoid most of this stuff other than the Wall Street Journal. All right. I will be at Princeton University on Friday. If you really, really, really need to go, you can email me at martin@thoughtpatrol.com and state your case. I probably can't sneak you in. It's for Princeton students, but if you've got some really, really good reason why you want to come to Princeton, New Jersey, and you have to see me, then message me, and maybe, just maybe, for one person, I can finagle a backseat pass on Friday next week over at Princeton University. I'm very excited to do this. I hope there are no protesters, but if you do want to protest, try to do so intellectually. I'm not Milo Yiannopoulos. I'm not some talking head. I do know what I'm talking about in my field, and I only like to cover my field, which is healthcare. So if you do have some critical perspectives, feel free to bring them up. In fact, I'll probably let you come down and have a seat at the stage with me, and we can talk about it together. But just screaming out stupid stuff like you're a fascist is probably not, doesn't look good on Princeton, and it certainly doesn't look good on you. And I'll just kick you out. So in any event, that's sort of what's going down at Princeton next week. I'm going to try to record it and stream it. The last few events were really entertaining and really well done, and people really loved it. Somehow the media said that the events were controversial, or they were, not well received, which I don't know what events they attended, but we'll see if I can record or stream this thing. I'm going to do my best to do that. Anyway, that's really it. Any suggestions, comments, questions you've got for this series, email me, martin@thoughtpatrol.com. Anyone can email me. I check the email every day. I'll respond to it if I see fit. I am going to cover a couple of the topics that I mentioned. Certainly this mind-brain-machine interface. I will cover that. I don't want to go to any of your schools. It's a real pain in the neck for me. I don't get anything out of it. Very little. I have to travel. I have to prepare the speech. I have to give the speech. I say give the same speech every time. I get the same questions every time. It's not fun for me. But if I'm going to be in the town anyway, or every now and then I get bored, I'll do it. But I'm not interested in doing too much of a college tour. But again, Princeton is close by. I can drive there. It's pretty easy. So anyway, I'm going to talk at some point about Theranos. Someone asked me about Chipotle. I'll look at Chipotle. I don't know. Someone asked me about ETFs. I'm not sure what there is to talk about there. I could make a book list. I've made one in the past. Someone asked me about real estate bridge loan funds promising 10%. That sounds like a Ponzi scheme. I would dig in very hard before I gave that firm any money. 8 to 10% guarantees are very rare in the world. Many hedge funds look for that kind of return and don't get it. So good luck with that. The Federal Reserve balance sheet is something, and central bank balance sheets are not well understood. I'm going to dive into that. I see a lot of people touching on the topic and doing it poorly. I'm going to try to do that. I have 2 more minutes for questions, and I'm going to call it a day at 9 o'clock here. I don't follow oil companies too well. I just started looking at some of the income statements for ExxonMobil and some other things like that. I don't know when SpaceX is going to go public, and I would invest at a certain price, and I would not invest at another price. That's typically how I look at everything. I will definitely do my best to record the Princeton talk. The developers that I hired were very experienced. One was a Facebook developer for many years, and the other did the best on our programming sort of trial run competition type thing. Those 2 guys stunned everyone. They basically just scored the best on the code session. So you can't fake your way into working for me. You have to prove that you can do it first. So those guys fought pretty hard to get their jobs, and they're very happy that they both accepted our offers. I'm very flattered that you'd ask if I should run for presidency. That's unbelievably flattering. I'm not qualified in the slightest. We're paying them around $200,000 a year, roughly. Of course, I look at biotech companies every day. I don't know where you've been for the last hour. Sentiment analysis, I don't think that's my... I mean, I look at some of that stuff. It's not my... fixation, I guess. Anything else? Reinvest dividends? It really depends. I don't think of it that way.